Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup, and this week we're going to be trying a slight change in format. We'll still be covering, a handful of comics per video, but rather than a more long, detailed look, what I'm trying to do is a quick and succinct summary and maybe even opinion. So kicking things off, we've got Excalibur number 20. Where we left off, the psychic entity known as Malice was loose on Krakoa. So in this issue, we get first off we learn Malice's origin. She was a young girl in Doncaster, England, by the name of Alice McAllister. When her mutant powers manifested shortly after a spat with her mother, and she was believed dead. But we get a write up on Malice about her abilities, some of her previous targets, and some identifying factors, mainly that the choker. But Captain Britain appears before the Quiet Council and basically explains what's happened to her, and is told she should probably talk to Saturn, intrude to Saturnine, kind of say, basically go before them and say, hey, I'm back. Earth 616 had a Captain Britain now. You can talk to us again. After the meeting with the council ends, Emma Frost attacks Betsy as she's possessed by Malice. Malice gets stuck in one of Psylocke's psychic knives, and Betsy and Psylocke go inside the psychic knife to talk to Malice after having a chat with Xavier about what to do about Malice. Before going into the knife and back at the Excalibur, the Braddock Lighthouse, Betsy's trying to find something to wear. Got a whole bunch for the Hellfire Gala. She got a whole bunch of dresses from that she had stored with Megan and with her brother and his wife. But it turns out a lot of those dresses weren't made for her so much as they were for Quenon, Psylocke. So they're given to Psylocke, who then opts to burn them. So, like I said, the two go into the Psychic Blade. They end up at a club in the Velveteen in Leeds. Betsy tries to talk to Malice. They end up having a duel. And it's decided, and then Psylocke manages to capture Malice, and on Krakoa they give her a body and put her, basically, hey, you get a second chance. And that's where the issue ends. It's not bad. I actually like getting the origin of Malice. It was really cool. Malice is a long-standing X-Men villain, and to be fair, I never knew her origin. It's quite possible that elements of her origin had been explored previously, but I never knew it. Solid issue. All of the I really don't think there's been a Dawn of X, Reign of X book I didn't enjoy to some degree. Anyway, moving on, we've got Marauders number 19. Where we left off, Verendi's new Reavers were assaulting Lowtown with orders to raise everything but the hospital. So the Marauders are trying to figure out planning to go in and take care of it. We open with a quote from Patch, only two type of people in Madripoor: the rich and those willing to kill you to become rich. So, Lowtown's burning. The Hellfire kids and they're are watching with glee, and they're also noting that the Marauder is in international water, but they're not here. They can't start an internet, so they come up short. They start an international incident, but they've got some supplies: explosives, grenades, assault weapons, and gates. Callisto goes to get backup. Kate goes to set up a gate within in Lowtown, while Iceman and Pyro decide to dub themselves the Two. Saying that they call themselves the Two because they call themselves Fire and Ice, no one will take them seriously. Basically, they make a fire-breathing ice sculpture, though, which serves as a distraction to get Kate into the Lowtown sewers, where she plants a gate. The reinforcements Callisto's gone after are the Morlocks in Arizona. And she basically says, hey, yeah, these people in Lowtown, they're not mutants, but they're our people. They're the ones we wouldn't have turned away from the tunnels. And they're going... Mask is a little hesitant, but Callisto states that, hey, they're likely going to go out to the hospital after they burn Lowtown to the ground. So, the Morlocks go in. We've got Mask, Bliss, Marrow, and then Hump and Brute. But yeah, they fight off the Morlocks, or they fight off the Reavers. Asking questions about things like, does killing a Reaver count as killing a human? Or since they're post-human, is it okay? Bishop has gone to speak with the young, with one of the Hellfire kids, the descendant of Victor Frankenstein, and explains that he disabled the cameras within the building and set explosives throughout. He's going to destroy Frankenstein's Reavers. And he does blow a nice chunk out of the building. Later on, the Morlocks are basically taking over the new mutant-owned hotel and bar, and one of the survivors is given a job at the bar, and Lowtown is apparently now being referred to as Mutytown. Then there's an Exodus data capture about the Hellfire Gala from the Daily Bugle fashion section for June, talking about Jumbo Carnation and the gala and so on and so forth. Apparently, his assistants are the Stepford Cuckoos and Multiple Man. And that is where the issue ends. Honest, solid issue of Marauders. Marauders was, of the original 6 Dawn of X books, Marauders was the one that kind of surprised me. I didn't expect too much from it. I figured, it'll be fun. It's honestly become one of my favorites, though. It's probably the one I look forward. It's one of the ones I look forward to the most every month, and it's never disappointed. I love the lineup. I love just the way it all plays out, and I love having Pyro on the team just because I love that idea of, hey, yeah, Krakow is for all mutants. Well, let's start showing some of the villains in heroic roles, and that's why I'm hoping that when the X-Men team gets announced in the Hellfire Gala, that Tempo's going to be on it. But yeah, anyway, moving on to Avengers number 44. The Phoenix contest was winding down, was coming to an end. Not too many champions were left, and Thor learned that the Phoenix, or at least its first Earthly host, is his mother. So yeah, the remaining Phoenix battles are, we've got Black Panther versus Captain America, and the two of them is a very evenly matched fight, to put it extraordinarily lightly. Then we've got Red Widow versus Shannon the She-Devil in New York Harbor, and Hulk versus Namor in Moscow. And Hulk is letting loose against him, where he even rips his arms off at one point. But yeah, he's able to basically reconnect them with, the Phoenix, the fraction of the Phoenix Force he's got. The Phoenix is getting even more powerful outside the Avengers Mountain, and Tony starts getting ready to blast it with a combined blast from the armor he's wearing and the Celestial itself. Valkyrie's trying to hold back Thor. The fight between Shanna and Red Widow is getting even more intense when someone comes up from the sea and basically pulls the Phoenix Force from both of them. Then pulls it from Hulk and then from Namor. Also, taking all the sea. Punches out. This new arrival punches out every last ounce of seawater in Namor's body as well. Thor has a talk with his apparent mother, and the new host of the Phoenix is revealed to be none other than Echo. Kind of so the contest wasn't about winning. There had to be tragedy and falling, and yeah. Jean learns this, gets in touch with Logan, tells him to leave her be, come back to the summer house. But Jean also sends a message to Echo, basically, saying, the Phoenix loves loners, so don't try to do this alone. You can't let the Phoenix Force isolate her. She can't let the Phoenix Force isolate her from the things that made her human. Not if you want to keep your soul. And she wishes Maya luck, and also wishes the Phoenix happy rebirth day. And the Starbrand baby has some small fiery birds prancing about her crib as the issue ends. Honestly, a pretty solid story. I'll be completely honest, about midway through when when Echo first appeared, I was like, I bet it's Echo, because we didn't see her body. So it's probably Echo. And yeah, it's been there's a lot of stuff I didn't go into, like the fact that during the fight between Cap and Black Panther stated that, kind of hinted that he was more than willing to, let himself be taken as the new host. And Cap was like, do we need the Phoenix though? I mean, and apparently Panther thinks they do, especially because of the cave drawings that he found way back in the first issue that hinted to the 1 million BC Avengers. Jason Aaron's run is getting pretty solid. We've got, I think, the next issue is going to focus on or be a belated King in Black tie-in, which I say belated, but it's not. It's actually scheduled to come out after the rest of King in Black. So yeah, we'll probably have the setup in King in Black here a little bit, but I think next month is going to be the Heroes Reborn story, which will actually preempt Avengers for a while, a couple months. Alternate universe story celebrating the 20-year anniversary or 30-year anniversary of the Heroes Reborn event from the 90s. But yeah, it's going to be, it's an Earth where the Squadron reigns supreme. Or the Squadron Supreme is the big name heroes. Mutant kind's all wiped out. Canada's a wasteland. Yeah, it's bad. Anyway, moving on to our next book, America Chavez, Made in the USA, number 2. Where we left off, America Chavez had gone back back home. There had been her powers were on the fritz, and she went home to investigate, and there was to investigate a force field that had been erected pretty much around her home. Then she worked with Spider-Man a little bit. So yeah, we get more. We also get more about her origin, how she discovered her powers. She remembered when she was a little kid. She remembered her family, including her parents, Amalia and Elena. Her mothers, Amalia and Elena Chavez. In the present, there was a lot of going back and forth in the issue between between America's past and what's going on in the present. Like I said, it shows when she first manifested her powers, talking about her other family, and but she's from the Utopian Parallel, and when she reconnects with her family, she goes with her adopted father to his bodega, and she watches the security footage, and she finds something on the floor, an arcade token. Turns out, also among the flashbacks, we also get stuff like she snuck out quite a bit after her powers manifested to be, a superhero. But America goes to investigate the arcade token, and again gets knocked out by the assailant who basically set up the force field, and who has lightning abilities, and welcomes her back to the Utopian Parallel. Also, this mysterious hooded attacker has glowing stars on their wrists. When America makes her portals, they tend to be star-shaped. So somehow there's a connection. We're going to our next book, Planet of the Symbiotes, number 3. Our first story deals with Cloak and Dagger. The darkness of Null is kind of it's making Cloak even colder, and it's kind of putting the two of them out of sync because they tend to be very much in sync. But they work together to deal with some. They work together to deal with some street crime, and during Null's invasion, they end up in a church, and Dagger, they embrace, and Dagger kind of lets her light, really just go off, and it destroys some of the symbiote dragons that are approaching them. But they get their groove back. Then we've got a Toxin story. Toxin is one of the symbiotes spawned from Venom. But it begins with some cops fighting what appears to be a brood hybrid of sorts in the Lincoln Tunnel. Toxin goes to rescue it, to save the cops from it. But it turns out that the brood, he's a brood human hybrid. He basically had brood marrow in his bones. He was human, but had brood marrow in his bones, courtesy of Alchemax. And Toxin's like, okay, maybe we're on the wrong side here. But then a guardsman shows up definitely gives Toxin a run for his money. But Toxin manages to escape, heads home, and turns out to be a kid possessed of the symbiote. The kid's dad arrives home and is revealed to be none other than the guardsman. Now, for the main event, the conclusion to King in Black, even though there's still 2 tie-ins to go. Starting off with Venom, number 34, Legacy number 199, so let's keep that in mind. Where we left off, the codex of Flash Thompson ended up within a one of Null's symbiote dragons and was on the loose, helping the good guys. But Null inside the hive mind had the codex of Eddie and was about to drop him off from a height again. Yeah, Flash is kicking ass and taking names. You get a nice long talk between Null and Eddie before Null drops Eddie, but Eddie's saved by his other. But something else kicks in too. But Venom manages to escape back to the real world, gets all giant size. And Flash asks, okay, what do I do now? And he's, like, I need you on the ground. But Flash's like, my physical form's in the grave though. And so he basically goes to the cemetery to, But then Eddie gets taken over by... We see Eddie being taken over once again by the Enigma Force. We get the whole thing. And at Arlington National Cemetery, Flash Thompson shows up and basically uses the symbiote dragon to resurrect himself. Which brings us directly to King in Black number 5, the conclusion. Yeah. So, other things that have been going on. The Surfer begins a duel with... turns his board into a sword and gets into a duel with Null, who remembers the Surfer from the Dawn of Creation. Which, for the Surfer, when Surfer and Null encountered one another, it was much more recently for the Surfer. But yeah, he's got help, the heroes. But then Venom shows up, all powered up by the Enigma Force. Summons Mjolnir and the board to himself and combines them into a battle axe and goes after Null with it. But Venom and Null duke it out. The possessed Celestials used, and Venom promptly cuts its head off. And he basically rips Null's power out of him, and then takes his nigh powerless form into space and flies him into the sun, killing him. But Null keeps saying, I'm not dead because there's a part of me in your son. But yeah, he sends him he sends Null into the sun and then but he hears voices calling to him. He doesn't understand them. The unit-powered forms that he's being sung to by the voices. And Null's hive mind is his now. They're free, but he's still connected. Looks like we get the setup for that next issue of Avengers, where as Blade had gotten the aid of the Vampire Nation to deal with the symbiotes. Well, they since everything's over, they've turned on Blade, and so yeah. Then the symbiote shell cracks though, and yeah, the vampires get flash fried. The battle axe is still a battle axe, but Thor and the Surfer are able to summon the individual parts back to them. But it turns out like I said, there is still a bit of Null inside Dylan, and as his last act as Captain Universe, Eddie pulls that part of Null out of Dylan and destroys it. But it turns out now, so the unit power then leaves Eddie, and his symbiote returns to him. And since he freed the symbiotes, Eddie is now, Venom is now the god of the symbiotes. He is the King in Black. And that is where the entire thing ends. That's to do it for this part of the roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.